Well, I have a donor. Now all I've got to do is get the spring off it without making a mess of anything. And that's my spring off. Now taking note of how that fits on there, so I can put this spring on in the same orientation. Wants to go that way up, coil to the bottom. Like that, and I'll just squeeze the tip of that spring together so it stays where it's put. That should do it. Now I need to clean that main lever up. It is quite clean as these things go. And apply some molybdenum paste. So give it a wipe to the inside and wipe around the outside edge at the bird paw, just a couple of spots there. Bring in the shutter body, on the lever for the pallets, here where the main lever couples to that speed train, and here and here. I think that will do. And all I've got to do is get this in position. The B lever is not sitting correctly. It's supposed to be trapped underneath that other lever. Let me just sort that out. Why is it sticking? That's better. Let's spring under there. Drop the main lever down, hold back the pallets, swing that out of the way, swing that lever back. Something's still catching me. What is it? That high speed spring's on the wrong side. Let's get that spring hooked over its post. Get that out from underneath. That's better. Why is it still sitting up in here? It's this thing trapped underneath, is it? Yes. Right, the shutter is ready for the shutter speed setting cam plate, which is here and is somewhat grimy. You might be wondering why all the shutter parts are cleaned manually just about, while the rest of the camera, the parts were cleaned in the ultrasonic cleaner. And the answer is that most of the shutter parts here have got paint on them. And the ultrasonic cleaner is very good at moving paint. And I don't want to have to fill in engravings again with paint because I've cleaned stuff away too efficiently. That looks good. So again with the molybdenum paste, once around the centre, and then on the cam surfaces here, that's sufficient. And where it picks up the high speed spring, which is right up here, there it is, just so that that'll rolls in smoothly. Make sure I've got no threads of cotton on there that I shouldn't have. Let's put this in position, make sure the B lever is not trapped underneath. That looks good. That looks fine, that's B. What's 1 second look like? It sounds a bit slow, I have to test that. What's in, oh that's 1 second around there, let's try that. Possible. Let's see what the 10th sounds like. That sounds credible. 25th, is it slower or faster? That sounds good. I'm going to test that. It may be that the slowest speed, the 1 second, is slightly slow. I'll find out. If the other speeds are all good, I'll probably do nothing about that. If the other speeds are showing a tendency to be slow as well, then I'll look at making adjustments. Get this plate in position, and I've got a suitably mutilated screwdriver to engage that screw. That looks good. I want my pointer on there, don't I? Let's put the pointer back. Right, I'll test the shutter and report back. Those shutter speeds are fine. Bit slow at the fastest speed, but that's to be expected, particularly with old shutters, with their tired springs. I'll put the lens back in place, front and rear. They've been cleaned, they should be good. A lot better than the cataract effect it had previously. Now the shims, they're very oily. One's paper, one's metal. I want all the oil off those. Be a bit gentle with the paper ones. You can put them back if you tear them, but it's a bugger, so you better not to do it. Generally speaking, these shims would have been used to match a particular shutter and lens assembly to the body in the factory so that the focus on the camera body and rangefinder and so forth could all be preset, and then the shutter just matched to the body later. They wouldn't need to adjust the focus of the body to the lens and shutter assembly individually. It saves a lot of work. Right, this needs to go back on the body. I'll just check my retaining ring. Yeah, it is running on smoothly. That went through the ultrasonic, which is most unusual. I don't normally do that. But that's just the way it fell out. Let's get this shutter in position. That's good. It's got a little locator on the back of it so it can't rotate. Put the retainer ring back down the back here. See if we can get that pressed down into position. It's a snug fit. And find my spanner. Not going into place. What's going wrong? That should be it. See what we get, if anything. Cock the shutter. Find the film advance. Yes. That feels very good to me. I'll just snug that up lightly, and then I need to check my focus and see what that's like, because that could be absolutely anything. In fact, I expect it to be absolutely anything, and if it's right, I'll be very pleasantly surprised. Well, I've looked at that, and it doesn't come all the way back to infinity. So that tells me that something needs adjusted. Now, since I have shims in there, the easiest thing to do is remove a shim. So I'll remove the metal shim and I'll check it again. And I'll report back. Well, as luck would have it, I had to remove both of the shims in order to get that focus correct, but I didn't have to make any change to the settings on the focus scale ring and focus helical, so that's good. I'm just looking at this top plate here, that needs to be screwed in place. I see that's got a bit of a bow in it, so I need to just see if I can level that out a little bit. Doesn't hurt to have a little bit of tension there, but that's a little bit too much, I think. I'm just rolling that over the edge of my all-purpose piece of block of wood to try and take that curve out of it. It probably means the camera has been pushed in a bit at the top and this plate's distorted a little bit. That's looking pretty good. My rangefinder's working very well. Everything appears to be spot on there. Now, where are my tiny screws for this rangefinder cover? Here we go. That looks good. The rewind. The ever always exciting rewind. What have we got for this? Well, we've got the non-standard J-shaped hook, which did seem to work, and the knob and its two screws. And of course the screws were some oversized ugly thing, which means that the holes in here have been stripped out and they've had larger screws forced into them. I'm looking just at the state of the thread in those screws to see if it, screw holes, see if it looks like it's going to function okay. One of them looks worse than the other. And the damaged screws with this one and this one, let's have a look at those. They're heavily mutilated, the heads of those screws. It's hard to say what's happened to those. They're just butt ugly, really, is about the best you can say about them. I'll see if I can find some screws that size that are in better shape, and then I'll put this in place. Well, I've selected two suitable victims. Now I want to see if I can get this J-shaped hook correctly positioned, get this in place and get the screws in place. Now this is always a trial. It doesn't matter whether you're using the original parts or not. This is just awkward. I don't know whether these screws will do the job yet, because they might stick out too far to clear the body. They do. I need to get countersunk head ones. That's a shame. I'll walk back to the drawing board. I'll look for another couple of screws. Thought I had some good ones there. Well, I did try, but I could not find two suitable screws that were in better shape than the ugly ones that came in with the camera. So it's going home with the ugly screws that came in with the camera. You'd have to be doing very well to see them anyway, I suppose, but That's the way it is. They can't be replaced with the original screws because they are oversized. They've been, I presume the original screws were lost. Somebody didn't have any suitable size replacements and they forced in a pair of screws that they did have, which would account for the ugly shape of the heads of the screws. And there's certainly a different size than the originals. Right, so I've just put some adhesive on the leather. Just going to wipe a smear of grease around that central hole there where it goes around the release button. That's so it doesn't get glued to the release button, because that's a nuisance. Right, at this end, no, this end, where our tripod sockets around, 2 small chrome screws. Get one started. Get its mate started. Then tighten the pair of them up. At the other end we have the depth of field scale. Just prop this up so it's sitting level. So here we have a wavy washer that provides a bit of controlled tension on it, if you like, to stop it spinning madly. This little plate goes on here. There's the ring with the settings numbers on it. I'll just wipe a bit of synthetic grease around this piece, which is the fixed piece that revolves around. Drop that into place, line up the screw holes, and hopefully get a screw in. Here we go, it's one, and its mate. Do those up. There's our depth of field scale. Zoom me out a bit, you hardly see anything when I'm working on cameras. Yeah, there's the depth of field scale there, the tripod sockets around there. Everything is back on the camera, and it only leaves me to deal with the state of this. I would say from the looks of this has had tape or something stuck on it. It's been stripped off. It's taken the surface of the leather with it. So it's not attractive. I don't have a better camera back to put on this camera, so it's going to have to stay. So I'll just give this a little quick wipe over with some naphtha in case there's anything on here that's going to cause me grief. Just looks like very dry leather to me the way that's soaked in. And I'm going to dress this with some highly pigmented soft wax, and we'll see what happens. Okay, well I think that's it for me. The leather doesn't look too bad now. I was able to get a good polish on the back of that. That looks quite good, I think. So all in all, that's not a bad result, I think, for what I started with. We've got a good camera, one that works, focuses correctly, shutters good, rangefinders present and correct. The film advance mechanism's working correctly. It even looks reasonably tidy. And I think it's an improvement over what I started with. with this buggered up top panel with the extra wart on the end and the shoe on there, and of course this crap on the inside, and the missing rangefinder. All in all, I think it's probably quite good, and I'm sure the owner will be pleased to see it. He's pleased to see it at all, because he's never actually laid eyes on it in the flesh. He bought it online and had it shipped to me for servicing. So I think he'll be pleased with what he's getting. It's not what arrived here. Anyway, thanks for watching. There's a nice Retina 2 type 142 f3.5 hectare lens, Compur-Rapid shutter, a nice rangefinder camera from the late 30s. Thanks for watching.